ooh, right now is probably not the best time to go, but you probably already have your ship date, so let's kind of talk about that. What is up, guys? You're tuning in to Nikki MGTV for another video. As always, you can hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below if you have questions. But let me first shout out to everyone that's new, everyone that's subscribed, everybody that's gotten me to 50,000 subscribers. We hit that mark. I didn't want to make a lame video saying, oh my God, I love all you guys. I think you guys know it because I say it at the end of every single video. I would say probably since the first couple videos I've done this. So, I don't know. Look back if you want to. But I don't know when I started saying that, but I've said it every video. So, just a huge shout out to you guys. But let's dive back into the topic. Let's get back on track. I promise you guys, this is another boot camp video. And I was thinking about it, like, some people have always asked, like, when is a good time to try and go to a boot? I always look back at this is how I probably went at the worst time, November 4th. I just hit 11 years, as I talked about in the other video. But I was like, man, no, Nikki. The people that are going, like, right, I would say now, probably like a week, 2 weeks later, are probably going at the absolute worst time. And I'll explain that. And that's because, so when I went through in November, it's rough because you've got Veterans Day, which I went through. You also have Thanksgiving, you have Christmas, and New Year's. So those holidays are just back to back to back, and they're all federal holidays, meaning they are going to be non-training days. Now, if you're in boot camp during these time periods, you're going to have what's called holiday routine, where you're going to shine your shoes, take showers freely, go to church, write letters back home, stuff like that, iron your uniforms if you have to, and kind of just gossip and talk in your little compartment. And that's pretty much for the morning to early afternoon. Then after that, you'll probably be a little bit more productive. At least that was my experience. So looking back at it, right now is probably the worst, and I'll explain why with the timing and how this kind of happens. And, obviously I'm not a recruit division commander. If you are one, sure, highlight more details if you think it is necessary to kind of give insight to this. But what I was going to go into is training has scheduling, and there's certain slots. You got to realize how many different divisions are trying to go through each training cycle at a time. Obviously, there are times when you can't do firefighting or whatever else, like you're on this week when you do it, but there is a little mobility of scheduling it and ensuring that they have the instructors there and that they're able to teach you guys and all that kind of stuff. So meeting those requirements before you actually go to the final evolution of battle stations is what is going to be one determining factor, is just the scheduling alone. Right now, it's probably the worst because when I was going through the first week of November, the big question for our recruit division commanders at the time, like when we first started, I remember was questioning if we were going to have a push division or if it was going to be a normal one. Now, push is typically meaning you're going to have a tighter schedule as far as timeline, stuff like that. So is that desirable for you? Yes. If you guys don't know the podcast that I had last week or this past week with Whitney, she was a push division and ended up going through boot camp, I think, in like just about 7 weeks, maybe a little less than that. But it is a very tight schedule, not much room for hiccups. So you have to realize that is going to be a big pressure on your division overall to get you through if that's the case. And right now, you've probably just missed that if you're going to be leaving here in the next week or so. And at the same time, you have to realize that your recruit division commanders or any boot camp, your success is a reflection of them. So if they pressure this on you and they want to do all that, it's going to come at a cost of maybe more people not doing as well, maybe not having the appropriate time to be totally trained or whatever else, because obviously the point is to get you trained, not to just push you through. So also throughout this time, I want to say from my experience during this holiday period, it is a good time to go when I went because we finished battle stations right before the New Year or before Christmas. I'm sorry, I think it was on the 23rd. And then we had Christmas, which we were able to actually leave base for one day because we were technically sailors at that point, and they let us leave for a day and come back with families or go to a local place that would actually hold us and be able to call home. But if you're going later, say right before Thanksgiving, you can anticipate not having much ability to do any of that during the holidays because you're not that far in training, whereas we were already done. So honestly, the phone calls and that kind of stuff is up to your RDCs, how much time you have, stuff like that. Honestly, I do believe it's a good thing to have that disconnect from your family. That way, when they see you, they're going to see a different person, even though it's only been 8 weeks later. So I'll say this. Should this dictate whether you pick for going in the next year that's coming up, or should this dictate whether you should change your ship out date? I don't think so, but I just look at it from the macro perspective of how many holidays I've missed, how many times I've missed birthdays, and all these other things. Like, I'm not gonna just say suck it up, but at the same time, I'm like, that's you embracing what you're signing up for right now, and I don't think that one holiday should dictate that. But overall, is it gonna suck a little bit? Yes, because when I went through it, felt like I missed that Christmas time overall. So as much as that sucked, I felt like it was a good learning experience for me. Also, I want to add on to this. If you watch these videos, I've said how cold Chicago gets. It's freezing. There's snow on the ground, I believe, right now already. So you're going to have snow watch as well, where you're going to have to wake up in the middle of the night and shovel snow. You're also going to have everybody that's there, like people from California, Hawaii, they're like, how am I going to deal with this cold? Realistically, you're going to deal with the cold very easily, because it's almost like you overdress for the weather that's happening. Back in the day, we used to have these ski masks, scarves, watch cap, like little beanies that you put over it. So we were over prepared. And I'll say this, by the time everyone is ready, all 80 people are ready to leave that compartment, you're looking at probably at least 15 minutes, because people can't shut up. People can't get all their stuff on. People want to be on their own program, right? And it gets frustrating, and you're sitting in your perfectly warm compartment and you're sweating because you are so hot because people can't get their stuff together, and you end up actually being very warm. And by the time you get outside, it's probably a relief most of the time. So, again, this is just a huge heads up for anyone going the winter to kind of understand this stuff, and really any holiday throughout your training, because that's just where it gets kind of difficult. But I hope that you guys got something out of this. If you guys do have more questions, you can always hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below. I love you guys. See you next time.